Check, check, 1, 2. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 1, 2. Too high? Check, check, 1, 2. Is that better? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right.
Check, check, 1, 2. Testing, 1, 2. 1, 2. George Koo.
Testing, 1, coup. Testing, 1, coup.
Test, 1, 2. Test, 1, 2.
All good? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I don't yell as much as you. All right, kill it. Good afternoon and welcome to a sunny, if chilly, Lakeside Stadium for round 20 in the NPL Victoria. It's a blockbuster here on a Sunday, the second half of a double-header. We just saw South Melbourne's women tie 1-1 with FC Bulleen Lions, and now it's the turn of the men's sides, South Melbourne and Oakleigh Cannons. And there are two changes for the home team here. A new signing coming straight into the starting lineup, Jack Pope, who signed from Eastern Lions in VPL1. The 19-year-old central midfielder will be wearing the number 10 on his back. Keep a lookout for him, an industrious worker in the heart of midfield. Emil Payos, too, promoted to the starting lineup after his goal off the bench last week against Altona Magic. Andy Brennan and Jack Painter Andrews dropped to the bench, with Javi Lopez, Morgan Evans, Jake Marshall, Marco Yankovic and Jordan Lampard continuing as the defensive unit. Cooper Halfpenny and Ross Archibald alongside Pope in midfield, and Noel Bernarda and Max Mikola in attack. Conspicuous by his continued absence, Harry Sawyer is out with a minor hamstring complaint after missing last week as well. Will Lejeune is the backup goalkeeper. Mario Barcia continues on the bench. In comes Lucas Inglesi to the substitutes bench, as well as new signing Rob Harding, who's joined from Manningham United Blues. And for the Oakleigh Cannons, well, they've made the most of the transfer window as well after their injury nightmare last week against Green Gully, losing 3 players in the first 30 minutes of the match. They needed defensive reinforcements, and they come in the form of former A-League talent Jordan Hall and Jacob Tratt straight into the starting 11 at the expense of the injured Noah Holmes and Connor Hampson. Brodie Boyce, too, continues in defence, so it'll be interesting to see whether one of Tratt or Boyce plays as a fullback this afternoon. We've got Pierce Waring, who scored a goal and set one up off the bench, coming into the starting lineup. Nick Feely continues between the sticks. Emlyn Wellsmore keeps his place. Ollie Kubelet and Cam McGilp in the midfield. Kingsley Sinclair, Joe Guest and Stefan Valentini in those attacking midfield wing positions. And they've only named 4 substitutes, Oakleigh, out of a possible 6. Brendan White is the backup goalkeeper. Manib Adis, Luke Mensing and Asad Kasumovic. The changes available to Chris Taylor. The injury crisis hitting Oakleigh hard, but see how they line up today with their new A-League names, Tratt and Hall. Both players with plenty of experience, especially Jacob Tratt, 5 years in the A-League. My name is Josh Barrett. I'm delighted to have Lockie Flanagan alongside me. Lockie, big game. Shaping up for a Max Mikola long throw, but no Harry Sawyer to aim for in the box.
A massive absentee. 2 big missing number 9s for both. One in stature and also one in terms of goal scoring for Oakleigh and Alex Salmon as the throw comes in, Josh.
Yes. Woods Ross Archibald comes out to Payos on the edge of the area. He's into the skywards. Comes back to Emil Payos. Deep cross. Nick Feely underneath it and fields it confidently. Oakleigh Cannons in their white away strip. South Melbourne in the familiar all blue. Oakleigh away on the counter. So no Alex Salmon for Oakleigh today is the surprising one, Lockie.
Yeah, a massive absentee up top. I guess the consolatory factor for Oakleigh is that South Melbourne, as you mentioned, by their own measure, are also missing their key figure up top. But this Oakleigh side not exactly struggling in the attacking stocks as Valentini swings in a first-time cross. It's defence where they have been, as you mentioned, hardest hit. Hence the introduction of this man on the ball. And that man on the ball as well, Jordan Hall and Jacob Tratt. 2 A-League level players who have gone head-to-head against one another in A-League men years gone by. And they'll have to learn to play alongside one another very quickly coming in this week.
It's Jordan Hall finding Sinclair. We can see Brodie Boyce. He's having to deputise a right back. They come in pairs, apparently, these Oakleigh Central defenders. They've been crying out for reinforcements ever since Jacob Eliopoulos went down. For a while there, Brodie Boyce was the only recognised centre-back at Oakleigh. Now he's being relegated out to right-back.
Well, you know what they say about London buses, Josh. You spend all your time waiting for one and all of a sudden 2 come at once. And well, Oakleigh, they did have a bit of a nightmarish game, as you described, against Green Gully, going down 4-2 and making all of those subs inside the first half. But their transfer business so far has been nothing short of a dream. Of course, we still need to see what Tratt and Hall can actually produce, but on paper, quality signing.
It's Joe Guest with the delivery, and it's Stefan Valentini on the end of it. Oh, a big chance for Oakleigh inside the first few minutes here. Valentini did score a header last week against Gully, but couldn't put that one on target.
I think we're all a bit surprised to see Stefan Valentini be able to direct that towards goal and trouble Harvey Lopez into a save.
It's extraordinary lapse of a defensive set piece, so uncharacteristic of a South Melbourne side who've conceded only 14 goals in 19 games.
Yeah, and if that wasn't impressive enough, they've been even more imperious here at Lakeside. Only 6 of those 14 have come here at this venue. 3 of them, Josh, were in one game against Avondale, so they are an absolute force to be reckoned with at Fortress Lakeside. As Lopez comes off his line and misses it. An empty net for Kingsley Sinclair. Oakleigh on the board early. And the uncharacteristic defensive softness from South rears its ugly head once again. A fresh air swing on the header from Harvey Lopez, and Kingsley Sinclair opens the scoring early at Lakeside.
Well, where is Harvey Lopez and
Goal
what has he done with him?
Oakleigh,
That
number
was
14,
not
Kingsley
Harvey
Sinclair.
Lopez-like at all. The best goalkeeper in the NPL Victoria with an absolute howler. It's invasion of the body snatchers here at Lakeside, and Oakleigh have a lead that they've scarcely had to work for.
Well, it's been a weird week for goalkeepers in NPL Victoria. One of them scored in the 94th minute last night, Pierce Clark for Dandenong Thunder, and one of the greatest that we've seen in recent seasons has made a mistake that I don't think he's ever made in his multiple years. And so Oakleigh, who have spent the last couple of weeks in result and injury hell, lead against the league leaders inside the opening 5 minutes. Kingsley Sinclair scoring for just the second time in his NPL Victoria career.
I'm absolutely stunned by that, Lockie. The lapse off the set piece a moment ago was bad enough. But to misjudge a long ball like that, maybe Lopez must be wondering. He woke up on the wrong side of the bed this morning. It's extraordinary. So often he's been the difference between 3 points and no points for South Melbourne. Frankly, he's come up with some unbelievable stops over his tenure here. He's so reliable between the sticks. And that is there's no other way to say it. It's a howler. It's a clown. And Max Mikula collected by the challenge of McGill. Advantage paid by Yanni Zizis, today's referee. And Emil Payos wins a throw.
It's a bit of a mangled saying, Josh, but what's the opposite of the broken clock being right twice a day? So that's what Harvey Lopez is, the well-oiled, fully functioning clock.
A Swiss timepiece with a rare missed beat.
Even the Rolex gets one wrong.
Had a good day for Switzerland this morning. See if that bodes poorly for the Spanish tomorrow against Georgia. This is Max Mikula trying to respond for South with a trademark long throw. And there's a bit of uncertainty there in the Oakleigh backline. Nick Feely couldn't get there in time, and South Melbourne have a corner. Well, I suppose when you've got 2 new faces in that Oakleigh defensive unit, they've just come in a time of crisis, a bit of rust and unfamiliarity is expected. As Emil Payos sends this one in, the header across goal, and no one there to meet it at the far post. It was Ross Archibald. South Melbourne rocked an early Kingsley Sinclair goal, which was just gift wrapped by Harvey Lopez. It was a composed finish from quite a tight angle, in fairness.
Yeah, Kingsley Sinclair still had a fair bit of work to do, and given the amount of time Josh he has spent outside of his natural sort of front 3 area of the park, actually playing as a fullback for large portions of this year, I'm surprised he still has his shooting boots lying around, but he used them to great effect there because, as you mentioned, there was a covering defender in and around the area. He kind of had to get that placement perfect, and, well, he certainly did.
Oakleigh having come into this game off the back of some impressive form. Lead against the league leaders, and they could make it 2 here. Valentini. Kingsley Sinclair double back to keep possession. It's Joe Guest. And Boyce. This is Jacob Trapp, the new man. Massive CV with 82 A-League appearances across 5 different clubs, plus a stint in the Indian Super League with Odisha. Steph Valentini manages to find a gap between 2 opponents, but Jake Marshall equal to it. Now Bernardo. Archibald and Jack Pope. Flag stays down for Jack Pope on his South Melbourne debut. Chaos. Just miscommunication between new teammates, not on the same wavelength. And South Melbourne turn over possession very, very cheaply.
Very fascinated to see how Jack Pope goes in his, well, South Melbourne debut, his first start for the club, his first start in South Melbourne colours. I really enjoyed his game so far in this 2024 Victorian footballing season with Eastern Lions, where he scored 4 goals since coming across from the Victory Youth setup. A lot of people, I think, esteemed figures in the second tier of state football have had their eye caught by Jack Pope's play, and clearly Esteban Quintas is no exception. Of course, Eastern did play South Melbourne here at Lakeside in the Cup as well, and probably where Pope started to become a target.
So, going to Esteban's attention in that chaos in the box as Ross Archibald gets his head to it, but doesn't sit for a follow-up strike. But Halfpenny sees it over the touchline. Bit of confusion over who's taking this throw. Max Mikula says, who? Me? Going to make me trudge across the pitch? It's a long way back. It's closer to the halfway line than it is to the opposition goal. The distance from here. Now Harry Sawyer to aim at. Plenty of tall timber up there. And there's a shove from Ross Archibald. On Cam McGilp, I think. Very adept at winning free kicks, Cam McGilp.
Yeah, his use of the body. So much of football is what you do with your feet, but you can make a lot of headway and have a lot of success if you're clever without it as well. And I think Cam McGilp is definitely one of those players who gets his frame in the right place to draw a lot of contact.
Feely drawing contact from Noel Bernardo. And the Oakleigh players going to bat for their goalkeeper. Oh, and Bernardo, has he reacted there? Feely goes to ground. There is a yellow card out from Yanni Zizis. We're too far away here in the broadcast position to see what sort of contact was made there. A little late there, Bernardo. Contact was just a push to the chest, so perhaps a yellow card all that was necessary.
I'd be inclined to agree, Josh. I think Bernardo was perhaps taking exception in the secondary incident that we saw there to a grip of the shirt that I think a few Oakleigh players had on him.
With a less than convincing free kick, still reeling from that collision. Boyce taps it down the line looking for Pierce Waring, but ball won't stay in play. And there's just an air of tension around Lakeside now after that early goal. Uncharacteristic of a South Melbourne side who've been so ruthless consistent this year. So they've got cup commitments coming up in the same week as they play Avondale. Had a few conversations with South people pre-game. They said they'd love to be able to rotate the squad against Avondale, keep that nice buffer to second place.
It would be nice. I mean, I'd like to roll around the Ferrari every day as well.
Rotation from Esteban Quintas in recent weeks. One of the kids getting a go. Evans. Accepted by Tratt. Evans left it a touch short. Joe Guest combining with Valentini. Bringing up Cam McGill, who sidesteps the challenge of Jack Pope. Kubalek. Must have been surprised to see Pope starting on debut. I thought it would be a more gradual introduction to the first team, given that he's been playing a division down and he's never played in the top flight in Victoria. Spent a bit of time at Melbourne Victory in the youth academy setup before returning to the Eastern Lions.
Especially when you consider that the big absentee for South at the moment, the obvious gaping hole is Harrison Sawyer up top. And they have liked to either play with a front three that becomes sort of a two up top, with Bernarda as almost a crumbing forward for the aerial presence of Harrison Sawyer. And Pope is not really a like-for-like replacement in that area of the park or any sense of the word. So it is a bit of a surprise, and I think one thing that is notable about Pope is he's perhaps physically a little bit undersized for your average top-flight Victorian footballer. Mind you, of course, he's still in his teenage years.
A lot of filling out still to do, I'd say. You can tell he's a youngster, but certainly the GPS stats would be pretty impressive, I'd wager, on Jack Pope. This is Valentini. Early ball into the area is usually dealt with by Javi Lopez. Quick restart for Ross Archibald. Valentini making late contacts and going into the book. His fourth booking, Steph Valentini. One more and he'll have to sit out for a week. Made of the way South have set up here with Chaos playing out wide. A little bit surprised to see Andy Brennan on the bench today.
Yeah, it's particularly when you consider how much of their game, and not that Brennan is a giant, athletically speaking, but it is interesting to see without Harrison Sawyer, South go for, I mean, three smalls effectively across that front line. There's not exactly a tall player who's going to win you balls in the air. Bernardo will fight hard, and he's not small. You can see how he sizes up alongside the likes of Tratt and Jordan Hall. And I guess they're hoping it'll help them in the zip factor.
Ball into the near post from Daniel Chaos, and well, Bernardo found the angle too sharp to do anything with it. And Russell the side netting. Jack Pope, been more of a box-to-box, number 8 style player for Eastern Lions, wearing the number 10 shirt and playing as a number 10 today, which is surprising. Although Esteban Quintas has played 3 more defensively minded midfielders to great effect at times this season. We've seen Mario Barcia play further forward and still generated plenty of scoring chances. Jankovic with a very aggressive bit of defending. He's on the ball. Now Bernardo on his left boot. A long way towards the corner flag and couldn't do anything with it. McGill. Boyce. McGill was taken down late. One of the most fouled players in the league, Callum McGill.
Well, I would be inclined to agree, Josh. It's because of those things that we were discussing earlier. His use of the body is elite, the way he positions himself to shield the ball from opposition players. As Pope saunters forward and inviting cross into the middle. Bernardo got a touch, but once again, just lacking in conviction, but that is better from South Melbourne.
It's good from Jack Pope as well. Great return ball, Bernardo. Could have done more there.
Over the top they go to Oakleigh. Pierce Waring. Rare start. And a chance to show what he can do as the line leader for Oakleigh. No stranger to scoring against South Melbourne. Ball through the lines is nipped in the bud by Jordan Lampard. And Lopez had to be careful. Let it stick though. And South Chaos can do his marker, might be out on the far side, but Oakleigh have got them hemmed in. The interception from Tratt. And Kubalay takes the ball in stride. Good marking by Ross Archibald as we head into the 19th minute. Oakleigh lead by a goal to nil, courtesy of Kingsley Sinclair in the 4th minute. Kingsley Sinclair, courtesy of a very rare error from Harvey Lopez, missing a header as he rushed out of his box. As Oakleigh look to double their advantage. The floated ball dealt with by Morgan Evans.
It's a disastrous bit of sweeper keeping from Lopez.
Couldn't find his way through heavy traffic, but Oakleigh having a nice controlled spell here in the past couple of minutes after that chance for Manuel Bernardo. This game would have some very fine margins going into it. Either side found the net when they met in the reverse fixture back in round 7.
With contention down there in front of the South Melbourne dugout, Esteban Quintas. Wondering why that wasn't met with further sanction. 2 Oakleigh players converging on Max Mikola for the brunt of the contact.
It's interesting that despite winning the set piece, Max Mikola will be nowhere near the delivering of the ball. It'll be the task of Marko Jankovic, who sends it sailing towards the penalty area. The call came early, and so did the claim from Nick Feely, who's keen to get Oakleigh on the move. Kingsley Sinclair. A searching ball that had to be dealt with by Jankovic. Full stretch. Oh, how good is the turn as well? To send Joe Guest. Not only you're not going to get the ball, Joe, but you're going to have a little trip to the shops as well.
Marko Jankovic, one of my favourite players to watch this competition. He's got such obvious physical gifts, but he's a very cultured player. Loves that left to right switch with his left boot. Very confident in possession as Bernardo looks for Jack Pope in the middle. Just a little overhit that cross. Now chaos. Back off Wellsmore, but only briefly. Great recovery from Emlyn Wellsmore. Both players going for a bit of a skid in that near right corner. We got one for Waring as Marshall comes out to win it. And then Bernardo flicks it on for Pope. Return ball to Bernardo, Kubalay in the way. And now McGill, so composed to find Valentini. No, that wasn't so composed from Valentini. He's trying to rush it. Jankovic sends it back to Lopez. It was, yeah, a little overhit from Jankovic, especially considering what his goalkeeper's just done in the first few minutes of this game. Lampard. Jordan Hall slides in. And Brodie Boyce, the second effort, forced to concede the throw. I was looking into this matchup, Lockie. It's basically locked in the last 7 games they played since 2022. 3 wins for Oakleigh, 3 wins for South and a draw. Just a dead heat, unless you consider that 2022 grand final, which I'm sure South fans will pretend you can go into, but fair or other. They've usually been tight games decided by only a goal or two. Nicola gets good distance off that. It's flicked towards goal. Off an Oakleigh head, in fact. And South will have another set piece. What also stuck out to me is just how the key players on either side have been shut down in these games. Harry Sawyer is scoreless in 5 appearances, not on the team sheet today. Joe Guest just 1 goal in 12 against South Melbourne. It was from the penalty spot in the grand final. Short routine as it comes out to Lampard. Good shape on it. Jankovic in there. And couldn't direct it goalwards. Cooper Halfpenny makes it wide, and Joe Guest always diligent with his defending. Such an engine on him, Joe Guest, and sees that out for a throw.
I did think that was rather notable in the lead-up, Josh. There are players on either side who have scored against today's opponents, but rarely, if ever, have they actually done it in the colours they're currently wearing. Bernardo has scored, I think, 3 goals against Oakleigh, wearing 2 against South, but they've all come for Green Gully, for Bentley Greens, for the other teams these players have played for. So it's always a tightly fought affair.
Throw from Nicola. Get it down as far as Sinclair, who puts his foot through the ball. All 11 Oakleigh players back defending that throw. Sam, another absentee today. Hasn't scored against South Melbourne since 2019 for Green Gully.
You mentioned the tightness in terms of stars not standing out. It is definitely reflected in the scorelines. I think it's 44 meetings all time, Josh, of which 13 have ended 1-0. So nearly a quarter of all their matchups have had just the 1 goal to separate them. And who knows, that we could be looking at number 14 right here. Although I get the sense that that's not going to be the case. I don't want to jinx it, but I get the feeling there's more in this one.
Certainly for the neutral sake, we hope so. As Joe Guest finds Valentini. It's Steph Valentini with the speculator from outside the box, and it's easily fielded by Lopez.
Another one for your list of players who have scored against South Melbourne, but not while currently playing for Oakleigh. He's done it a couple of times, I think, in both the league and cup against South for Avondale, including in that infamous, I guess, from the South Melbourne perspective, 4-0 win for Avondale in the cup in 2022.
Jack Pope is the offside of the last defender this time around.
I'll say offside that time around, but I think Jack Pope is doing, or at the very least trying, to do a lot of the right things at the moment. He's been zippy, dynamic. He's been not afraid to make a few passes that caught risk in the hope of a payoff, and but for a cleaner effort on goal from Noel Bernardo, he could well have an assist to his name as well. Still early doors, of course, and young players are rarely going to give you exactly the same over a consistent basis, but I think already inside these early exchanges you can see why South Melbourne have taken the punt, not only on signing him but on starting him today.
Valentini almost sits on the ball. As well to shield it. McGill, Wellsmore, strike back. Else in the way. Oakleigh throw. It is a bit serendipitous that Jack Pope has ended up at South Melbourne. I remember early in the year we had a comparison from someone at Eastern Lions to Paul Wade. Watching young Paul Wade at Ringwood City, and you know what he went on to do here at Lakeside. And suggesting that Jack Pope is in that same echelon, but you can see where the comparison comes from, and his just industrious work ethic and mental fortitude.
Hopefully it translates to he carries himself off the pitch as well, because Paul Wade is a fantastic talker if you get him going. Here's Pierce Waring trying to get Oakleigh going as Guest lets fly, but it's blocked en route. A solid sliding challenge by Cooper Halfpenny. And now Bernarda looking to do it all himself, but that's well, it was initially a good intervention from Jacob Tratt, but the second bite at the cherry, not nearly as sweet, in fact, a rather sour tone. We shall see him head into the book, and South Melbourne will pick up a free kick, and I don't think Jacob Tratt can... it's quite rare, actually, that the player who's come into NPL Victoria gives someone else the welcome to NPL Victoria tackle, but there you go. It's been a strange weekend of Victorian football. Anything's been possible.
Well, Banana took him into deep water there. He didn't fancy a foot race down the touchline, Jacob Tratt, and I think he decided to take one for the team. Well, Bernarda has been in the wars early this afternoon. Just get the sense he's going to have a major say in what transpires the rest of this game.
Morgan stands it up to the back post. There's a Rye Heising ball, and in comes Pope. It's a corner. Continues to throw his body about, does Jack Pope. A towering leap at the back post to keep that alive. I'm not sure if there hadn't have been an Oakleigh player in the way, if Pope's effort would have been goalward bound the way he was stretching for it, but it's reward for effort. Now Peos will deliver from the right-hand side towards the back post. Up goes Archibald, and Feely is able to move it into the gloves as it trickles its way towards the line.
Feely, another player with A-League experience, came a long time ago at Perth Glory, 4 appearances across 2 years, 16 and 17, I believe.
Yes. You were telling me as well, Josh, pre-game, that of those 4 appearances, one of them just happened to be against Harrison Sawyer.
Yes, indeed. One of Harry Sawyer's 5 games for Newcastle Jets coincided with one of Nick Feely's 4 for Perth Glory.
Oh, it's a bit of a theme for the former A-League players, because Jordan Hall, not quite as much A-League experience as Jacob Tratt, but of his 10 appearances, one of them did come against Jacob Tratt in January 2022 as Adelaide played Melbourne City a 2-2 draw.
I say I'm happy to see Jordan Hall back in the NPL, because it seemed like he'd been left on the shelf as an emergency for Melbourne City for a while now.
Yeah, and I think he'd become one of those players where you assume he's still, I'm not calling him old here, but you assume that he's in his early 20s or something, but he's 26 now. He is, a mature age defender, and it is a bit of a full circle moment to see him come back to NPL Victoria and hopefully dominate, because it was against South Melbourne where he made his debut as Guest. Scoops that ball in. It's repelled at the first time of asking. Tratt had a swing and a miss, and Oakleigh claimed for a handball, but Yanni Zizas waves his arms. Archibald booms it forward, but it'll be easy pickings for Nick Feely.
Oakleigh would have been absolutely fuming if that had resulted in a goal, but it's come off Jack Pope's foot first, and I think referees are instructed not to give the handball if it comes off a different body part. It's just a ricochet like that. It did definitely hit Jack Pope's arm.
McGill. That's it back from whence it came. Just dropping deep to build up the attacking move for Oakleigh. They weren't coughing up chances, but I think South have maybe gained some territorial control of this game, if nothing else. Oakleigh's chances since the opener have been few and far between, which is not to say that South Melbourne have peppered the goals, but certainly having their way with the ball at the moment. Launched forward by Lopez. Pope contests well in the air. Mikola went for the blind flick, and the spillage fell kindly for Kubalay, who couldn't punish in the opposite direction. It's been that sort of a game so far. Fine margins. Not much in it. What has been gift wrapped and handed to the opposition in the case of Kenzo Sinclair's opener on 4 minutes. Payos. He's gotten his haunches, but receives from Archibald. Now Pope has another pocket of space on the right-hand side and a ball that just asks a little bit too much of Payos. Kubalay. Wellsmore now. Round all comers. A really nice run this from Emlyn Wellsmore. Where was the marking from South Melbourne? Valentini continues in stride. Look to stand up at his marker in Morgan Evans and fashion a cross into the middle. It's Valentini into the hot spot. And South Melbourne repel with relative ease in the end. And that spillage falls to Jack Pope. It was a flashing back heel, but a touch of fraction heavy. And there's a raft of quality individual players out there today, Josh, and they are starting to turn on the style, not least Emlyn Wellsmore.
Well, he's so skillful for a defender. We know he can play basically anywhere, central midfield, on the wing, either fullback. He's just the ultimate. Talking about Swiss watches earlier, he's a Swiss Army knife. This is Pierce Waring. He does well to hold off the challenge of Archibald. Made a real impact. Not initially when he came off the bench for Oakleigh last week, because they were playing him at right fullback for a good 25 minutes, but once they moved him into a more attacking midfield role against Gully, he started to turn the game for them late on. They were already 4-0 down, so it's a very steep incline as uphill battles come. It's Jordan Hall. A lot of air underneath that ball. Valentini contests well. And Marshall sliding in, clean win, and Payos keeps it alive. Payos looking for Pope. Just skidded away from him, Jack Pope. Nothing he could do. I'm excited to see what Emil Payos can produce today. He scored a lovely chip off the bench against Altona Magic last week, the fourth in a 4-0 hammering.
His debut. More goals for South Melbourne go. That's as good as they come, and all of 2 minutes after coming on. Actually took him to find the net. He's had a bit of an interesting season, Emil Payos. It feels like he's been a regular fixture. He's actually only making his 7th start today for South. Since signing from Victory Youth Academy.
He's trialling with Victory.
He's trialling with Victory, having played at City before that. Esteban Quintas's favourite subs. Off the pine 10 times. I think that's an equal top with Andy Brennan, who will probably expect to see leapfrog him later today.
It's a good win from Pope. Second challenge coming in. From Lampard. Well, the onus on South Melbourne here to respond before half-time. Unenviable position to be behind against Oakleigh when they're so adept in transition. Jordan Hall gets there in time. And McGilp, and then Kubalay put under a lot of pressure by that pass. And now Max Mikula fancies the shot from a long way out. And Kubalay scrambles across to make the block. His error. I think the blame really lies at Cam McGill. Kubalay wanted the ball in that situation. It's Mikula. Forced to warm up the biceps and triceps again and try and produce something. The long throw. New numbers at the near post. Jankovic rising. Feely over the top with the punch. South Melbourne, yet another corner. They've had so many set pieces in this game. Haven't generated the chances you'd expect. There's no Sawyer to draw Oakleigh's attention defensively. Still Archibald, Jankovic, Marshall. All good targets. Jacob Track comes out. Feely on the deck. No whistle. In fact, it is a belated decision from Yanni Zizis. And 2 Oakleigh players down hurt after the collision in traffic. Brody Boyce and Nick Feely both feeling the effects of that one. So the weather starts to turn at Lakeside.
I was going to say, who'd be a goalkeeper on a day like today? You get belted by South Melbourne players trying to win the header. And I'm not suggesting any malice in my choice of words there. And you end up rolling around on the turf as the rain pelts down against your forehead. Can't be fun. Can't be fun. I will say though, as the rain does come down here in Albert Park, I must say, for the amount of rain that we've had over the past 48 hours, the Lakeside pitch has held up very, very nicely. It's drained well. We saw them using rakes and mops to push the water off the turf at George Andrews last night. And I'm glad they did because of the game that ended up transpiring, but no need for stuff like that on this Lakeside pitch. It's in good nick.
Imagine if we'd been robbed of a Piers Clark last-minute equaliser. What a moment. First goalkeeper, we believe, to have scored in NPL since Michael Weir's debut for Hume City a number of years ago.
It would have been an absolutely incredible goal for an outfield player to score in a sort of Travella-like effort into the top left corner off the post in the 95th minute of stoppage time to salvage a point. If an outfield player does that, I'm like, wow, that's incredible. He's a goalkeeper.
And not even a goalkeeper who's famed for how he uses his feet. He's not bad, but he's more of a shot stopper.
Yeah. If anything, he's probably been caught out a couple of times over the years for the use of his feet.
Max Mikkel has been ordered off here with a blood rule. So we're going to have to patch up his knee. Oakleigh play 11 v 10 for the moment. Saying he cops some studs and looks like he'll be allowed back on now. Guest. A little wide for Valentini who switched flanks. Lampard, cleverly done. Wins the goal kick. Sides who have been delighted by what transpired at Olympic Village on Friday night, with Heidelberg and Avondale taking points off each other. Heidelberg always seem to draw with the other members of the top four. Aside from against South Melbourne, of course. Which feel like an unlikely victory with 10 players.
Yeah. Oakleigh and South Melbourne would have been delighted. I have to say, as a neutral observer watching on the couch, I was delighted too, because that was an absolutely fantastic game. And I'm so glad that we got those 2 goals at the end of 90 minutes, both coming in stoppage time, because they played a 0-0 draw earlier this season, Avondale and Heidelberg. But it was, again, a great footballing contest that didn't have the scoreline to show it. This time we got it, and 2 really exciting goals. Debut for Sadiq and Gore to equalise.
It's going to be Joe Guest. Low delivery this time. It falls fortuitously for Sinclair, and then a towering header at the back post from Valentini. No one could make contact. An Oakleigh persuasion in the middle. Kubalay. Now South Melbourne have a chance to break. Nicola got his heels clipped by Guest, and that's going to be another booking. These bookings are racking up for Oakleigh at the moment. Joe Guest knew just how important that professional foul was.
That's the 3rd Oakleigh player with a ticket now. 4 total for the day if you include Noel Bernardo of South Melbourne.
And was it Valentini who was
yes,
earlier?
Valentini the other. Not a problem you want to have for a bench that only contains 3 outfield subs.
Very short-handed today, Oakleigh. There's no 23s game beforehand with the double header. The women's team, so perhaps Oakleigh decided against filling up the bench with 2 more of their youth players. No Roy Gregory today. He's been a regular substitute for them. See Oakleigh recover from his hamstring twinge against Gully last week. Noah Holmes and Connor Hampson not been quite so lucky. I saw Noah Holmes going through his paces before kickoff, but it didn't look as if he was ever likely to get on the team sheet. Just training separately with the physio. Valentini skips past Jordan Lampard and then cross-lacks purchase, and Sinclair going in late. Comes out to Joe Guest. Waring, Pierce Waring, sees his effort blocked. Oakleigh get a shot off. Valentini can't. McGill can, but it's high and wide. Not so handsome. Oakleigh have a injured player on the far side to be seen to.
Well, if you were looking for an example, an explanation as to why the scoreline is often so narrow when these two sides meet, 2022 NPL Victoria Grand Final notwithstanding, you got a pretty good example, a pretty good answer from that passage of play where there were multiple blocked shots, but there was almost a line of 7 or 8 South Melbourne players across the penalty area to just close ranks whenever any of those Oakleigh players, of which there were 3 or 4 fancying their chances, were actually able to get a shot off. And that was from 20 yards out, let alone actually the small matter of trying to work the ball into the box.
Steph Valentini takes too long, 2 touches. His first touch didn't set himself for the strike as he would have liked. Needed to copy the Piers Clark technique, come across the ball. His only avenue to goal. Is it Kingsley Sinclair who's down?
It is. It is from just about the same spot where he opened the scoring 40 minutes ago here at Lakeside Stadium. An empty net to tap into after a missed header by Harvey Lopez. An attempted clearance gone all wrong. Hopefully we're hoping that it's a day that's not going to go all wrong here for Kingsley Sinclair, because he looks to be in some discomfort as he makes his way off the field. And Harvey Lopez can take the kick that may well bring us into first half stoppage. Pass the eye towards the 4th official. As Boyce miscued his clearance, and it'll be 4 extra minutes added on by Josh Drakeford, the 4th official. 4 minutes in which South Melbourne will commence by taking a free kick. And once again, Marko Jankovic, the resident dead ball artist. It's towards the penalty spot. Archibald was in the vicinity, but Trapp arrived first. Kubalay into a bit of a cul-de-sac, and Wellsmore just had to go long and into touch. He was bereft of options. And South Melbourne finished the first half with a flourish. Probably had the control of this first half where possession is concerned, but not on the scoreboard. And Feely hasn't been too troubled. Pope has made himself useful, but could do nothing more than pressure Stefan Valentini that time around. It is a massive second 45 minutes to come for South Melbourne, assuming that we don't get an equalising goal, because Chris Taylor is into the book. He was usually, up until that game, has Chris Taylor found his angry side recently, Josh? Because he was famed for being quiet as a church mouse a lot of the time on the touchline, and all of a sudden he's into the book. So we've got a non-playing participant of this game walking the referee's tightrope as well. But a couple of weeks ago, Josh, we were talking about when Avondale suffered a shock defeat, talking about the concept of the title and the Premier's plate being all but wrapped up. But all of a sudden, if South lose this, it's a 4-point gap between them and Avondale.
It's back on.
It's well and truly back on. And that's factoring in that Avondale will only have the league to focus on, while South Melbourne have got both Doherty and Australia Cup commitments.
Well, as a neutral, you'd love for it to come down to that Avondale South clash. I'm sure South Melbourne would prefer to have more comfort in their league lead, their Australia Cup commitments. Nicola can't make the distance off the throw, but he gets a chance to cross. And now Jack Pope attacking the loose ball. And the shot was hit almost too well, straight at Nick Feely.
It was very, very cute, technically sound, but this is the Badlands of NPL Victoria. You need to get a bit of oomph about it. Put your boot through the wall. But again, he continues to get himself in the right places and do the right things. He's not a million miles away, Jack Pope.
Melbourne putting the pressure on. Noel Bernardo winning it back. It came to Pope and he couldn't find Nicola. He's left on his haunches. He's wearing now. Javi Lopez coming off his line to give all the South Melbourne fans in the grandstand heart palpitations.
Even my heart rate jumped up a little bit.
Not again.
Would it be too outlandish of me to say that Pope has actually been one of South Melbourne's better players?
I do agree with you. It's just a shade of end product. It's Joe Guest and Ross Archibald into a bit of a shoving match.
Half-time here at Lakeside Stadium. The score is Oakleigh 1, South Melbourne 0.
And South Melbourne go into the rooms in the rain at Lakeside. A goal down, potentially with the Premier's Plate race back on as it stands. It was an early goal from Kingsley Sinclair, an absolute gift. As Pierce Waring, as Harvey Lopez rather, came off his line and completely missed the clearance. Oakleigh Cannons, with their new defensive reinforcements, have taken a half-time lead, and it's all to Esteban Quintas's men have it all to do in the second half. Josh Parrish alongside Lockie Flanagan here. We'll take a short break. Stay with us on the NPL Victoria live stream in this titanic clash. South Melbourne 0, Oakleigh Cannons 1.
45 minutes of football to play here at Lakeside Stadium, and South Melbourne FC with it all to do. 1-0 they trail as we head into the second half, courtesy of the Kingsley Sinclair goal on 4 minutes. That was gift-wrapped by the South Melbourne defence, and a rare error from Javi Lopez if they want to avoid the title race being blown wide open as we approach the final 6 weeks of the NPL Victoria season. South Melbourne will need to put in a shift. But Oakleigh are no slouches. They will look not just to hold on to their lead, but to expand it to seal what would be an emphatic return to the winners list and a statement result against the ladder leaders South Melbourne. But the direction this game heads from here, even with Oakleigh sitting in the ascendancy, is anyone's guess. We'll come back for the second stanza, the final game of round 20 of the NPL Victoria. It's Lockie Flanagan joined the first of Jeff Parrish. He hasn't gone anywhere. He's still with us, and he hasn't frozen just yet.
Lockie, definitely an improved performance from Oakleigh in the first half, to say the least. Woeful in the first half against Green Gully on Saturday. Of course, injuries. Signings, Jordan Hall pursuing the well. Bernarda here, and the ball comes to Chaos at the far post, who can't turn it goalwards. An extraordinary opening in the second half for South Melbourne. What a chance that was, just 70 seconds in. Emil Chaos should have done so much more.
Just needed, or it needed a touch. It just didn't need that touch. It was attempting to control the ball. Just wanted to whack it first time. Here comes the throw. Nicola launching the ball towards the hot spot, but Marshall can connect. Pope, who is clever. South Melbourne debut to keep it a royal blue ball. All too happy to let that one trickle over the line. Nicola on a second long throw effort in just another 10 seconds.
Well, South Melbourne, with the words of their coach Esteban Quinta, still ringing in their ears. Nicola gets good distance. Feely with the one-handed punch. Sinclair with a touch. Nicola tries to see it out for a corner and succeeds in that endeavour. Expected a response. It's come very early to the restart. They make it count. It's Nicola looking for Marko Jankovic. Can't connect. Giveaway away. One on the halfway line for Oakleigh. Lampard. High searching ball. Martini underneath it. And Jacob Trapp. No nonsense, away from danger. Pope with the interception. Emil Chaos, deep down the line. William Wellsmore saw it coming. South Melbourne will have another throw-in opportunity. And expect a siege of the Oakleigh goal in this second half. An aerial barrage. To Oakleigh have concentration, the discipline, the aerial prowess to be able to withstand it. Nicola towards goal. Really wanted a free kick. He's not going to get one. In the corner. Into double digits off the corners at this point for South Melbourne now. So many chances. Swinging a good ball into the box. Change of angle for Morgan Evans. Towards Archibald. Nick Feely out to punch again. Bernarda. The Oakleigh defenders in his way. Popped it up to Wellsmore, and Brody Boyce hits it down the line. And Kingsley Sinclair makes the most of some hesitancy from Cooper Halfpenny there. That should have been a South Melbourne ball, but it wasn't.
Oakleigh, their attempts to repel peppering. Could be trouble here for South Melbourne. Valentini touches heavy too. So Javi Lopez, characteristic misstep, is a bit of a reprieve. The errant touch of Valentini. Penalty area with their aerial bombardment. Feely, a big fella at 6'4", and he's not having any issue. Where Javi Lopez has maybe been a bit more timid by his standards. Feely has been confident and shown no hesitancy to get a glove for the aerial ball that's there to run. Even if some of them have been emphatic connections, they have been important touches to keep them away from the likes of Mark
Bernardo for Sam. No way past Jacob Trapp. Another people's possession, and then Evans for Payos. Oh, well, I'm sure that was a cross. Skewed onto the top of the net. Here it has to be on guard. Really had a save of note to make. Most of them have been really comfortable with Feely, but as you say, the set pieces dealt with the aerial bombardment as most keepers have.
I think that's why the high claims have been so important. Open players are not in altogether, but those claims have allowed him not to have to make any other saves. There's a big one. He might be caught into action here. Collision. Two players forced kindly for Oakleigh and Field.
Good defending, really, from this. Yanni Zizis gets a touch. Archibald, best please. The referee getting involved in the play. Will be a drop ball and a possession return to South Melbourne. First time ball is picked off by Sinclair. And McGill loses out. Down on Max Nicola there. It looked like there was contact. He goes on, Archibald. Searches for Payos on the far side. Play the 1-2 with Jack Pope. Run away from Elliot Payos. Oh, there was an Oakleigh touch and another South Melbourne corner. Max Nicola is walking very gingerly after that challenge.
Oh no, he's not going to be on corner duty this time. He often is. After on over and chase it, but this time he doesn't have to. But just keep an eye on Max Nicola because he's still watching right ankle.
To the near post. Jordan Ball, and then Lampard lashes it goalwards. It was a sweet connection, but he couldn't keep the shot down.
He can hit them though, Jordan Lampard. Score cracker, albeit from a significantly shorter distance, with similar sort of connection and approach in that cup game against Preston Lions.
Scored once in the league as well this season. Possession to Valentini. Ball over, one back by Wellsmore. Cam McGill has it on his left. He's looking for Sinclair. Kingsley Sinclair lays it off for Joe Guest, who skies it off his non-preferred. It was a real chance for Oakleigh.
It's been a bit of a repeat theme, Josh, not the actual conception of the play, but when Oakleigh have had those shots from inside the area, fairly overcooked, which is to score.
Valentini. Sizes up Morgan Evans. Goes to the byline. Valentini agonisingly across the face of goal. I think it's theirs. It is. Taking a touch. When Valentini crossed it, I assume. That's the wearing, the chest. Stretches and can't make the distance. Lampard. Towards Bernardo, who's been manhandled by Jordan Hall. Referee waiting for advantage. That's Nicola again on the receiving end of a heavy challenge. But this had already gone.
Two balls on the pitch. It was quite the origin-themed celebration. There's 20 NPL Victoria goals, Josh. 14 have come here at Lakeside. It drops for Waring, and could it sit for Sinclair? The answer is no. Touch, I think, was his as well. An unkind double deflection, perhaps.
Maroons on Wednesday night. Way in the first half. South Melbourne trail after the first half here. Oakleigh. Good guess. Mr. Brown over the challenge of Halfpenny. That's the big Kerry Moore style hand gesture from Yanni's Isis. Get up, mate. See the first change. Sinclair. Short voice and then Ross Archibald. Late contact from Kugelay, who goes into the book as well. Yet another Oakleigh player to receive a yellow card this afternoon.
Season for Ollie Kugelay. All the ones he's picked up this season, that is perhaps the one upon which he could have the least complaints. So South Melbourne are going to make a double substitution here, and two of their young brigade make way. Jack Pope receives a round of applause after what was an enterprising South Melbourne debut. He'll leave the field alongside and in his debut season in Chaos. So Andy Brennan.
Double substitution for South Melbourne coming off. Number 10, Jack Pope, and number 16, Neil Pios. Being replaced by number 7, Andy Brennan, and number 11, Robert Harding.
Robert Harding is on. So it's a debutant off and a debutant on. Robert Harding, signed from Manningham, the former Altona and Florian Athena striker. He scored 2 this season. Surprise signing for South Melbourne. He's going to get 30 minutes plus stoppage to show what he can do. And for the 20th time this season, well, no, sorry, for the 9th. Hang on, I'm going to get my maths right here, I promise you. For the 12th time this season, Andy Brennan is off the bench, and it is the 20th time where he's come either on or off in a game. That was a decent shaped ball as it swung towards the goal, and Archibald shoots on the turn. Feely able to gobble it up, and that's really the first time that Nick Feely has had to make a significant save from open play. It was still a little bit too easy, but it is positive signs nonetheless for the home side. Waring couldn't find clean passage forward. Archibald just dropped it a little short. They've coughed it up a bit cheaply here, have South Melbourne. Launched up the line. Valentini juggles it alone, and they're struggling to work it out of the corner here, South. That's a more emphatic touch, and laid down from Brennan to Harding, who used his body illegally. There was a brief hesitation on the whistle from Yanni Zizis, which made some hopeful that Rob Harding might be slipping his way past the Oakleigh defence, but not to be. So advantage, Oakleigh. They've sat on the lead for 56 minutes. Even if South have had the better of the territory, this bouncing ball, a tricky one, and it looked for a second from this angle as though that askew clearance from Jacob Tratt might be goalward bound, as Bernarda swings it into the middle, flicked away at the back stick by Emlyn Wellsmore. There's Kubalay. Couldn't march his way forward that time. Oakleigh will take any of these free kicks that chew away the time very, very gratefully. Not that I'm suggesting they're in time-wasting territory just yet by any stretch of the imagination, but every second counts. And so too it does for South Melbourne. Bernarda short for Lampard. And the task set for Max Mikula, who did get there first. And lost out to the physical challenge, an illegal one at that from Ollie Kublé. Or rather, it wasn't. It was a foul by the number 19, who is on a card. And I think that's the point that some of the South Melbourne persuasion were making. And so Andy Brennan, one of his first touches off the bench, is to, well, he looked as though he was shaping to take the free kick, but one of his first touches off the bench is to set it up for Jordan Lampard.
Oh, nice from Andy Brennan to set it for his teammate.
What can the left boot of Lampard produce? It's inviting, but it's knocked away at the first time of asking by the Oakleigh defence.
It's beautiful shape on that cross.
Now, that did look really nice off the left boot of Lampard. It's allowed to drop for Brennan, who shapes to cross. It's a big up and under, but it drops into the lap of Marko Jankovic, who's having to leave himself forward to try and flip the script here for South. Can Lampard fashion a cross in? He can. And it was another tantalising delivery to which Oakleigh were equal to the task. And Rob Harding was coming back from an offside position. An easy call for the assistant referee, Ben Lepaleo.
It's met by the head of Lampard, and now Sinclair knocks it into space for Valentini, who has Pierce Waring in the middle. Valentini tries to cut inside and lost his footing, and really should have done more of that situation. Jordan Lampard winning it back for Oakleigh. Gee, Valentini just had acres of space there, tried to overcomplicate things. Feely. Waring. Chests it down, and now Cam McGilp and Guest prompting the run of Wellsmore, who gallops forward. It's still Emlyn Wellsmore. He had an effort at goal blocked. Jake Marshall in the way. Game really starting to get stretched here. Sinclair. Got Brody Boyce on the overlap, who drives it in low. Can't find a teammate. South Melbourne clear their lines. And at the moment, it looks as if Oakleigh are more likely to add to their lead than South Melbourne are to equalise. Tratt. Sinclair. Brody Boyce now. He's a central defender by trade. Don't expect him to run at his man. Does use the ball well. Mikula tracking back that time. Now Brennan playing up top, allowing Bernarda to run off the shoulder a little more often. Here's Andy Brennan running at Hall, and he tripped over the ball. Well, he made room for himself to do something with it, and then slapstick comedy from Andy Brennan.
That's been the last 5 minutes, Josh. The attacking players with the ball have done a better job of defending themselves than the actual opposition have. Valentini obviously saw the ground give way beneath his feet minutes ago.
It's Pierce Waring. McGilp, and now Sinclair, and Joe Guest is in the middle. And it's cut out well by Jake Marshall. McGilp off halfpenny and behind for an Oakleigh corner. And South Melbourne can't seem to get the momentum going in the right direction at the moment. Oakleigh looking very comfortable in the last couple of minutes. Joe Guest over the dead ball. Looking for Jacob Tratt, and then headed goalwards, I think by Jordan Hall. What a save that was from Javi Lopez. Jordan Hall inches away from a debut goal for the Oakleigh Cannons. And Lopez may be going some way to redeem himself after his early slip-up.
Yeah, well, it's taken 62 minutes, but Javi Lopez, as we know him and love him, has finally returned. He might be in action here again as Kingsley Sinclair swings the ball into the box, and it's side-footed away for another Oakleigh set piece.
There's a thumping header from Hall. He couldn't have done much more with that. Lopez gets down so quickly.
And doesn't just get fingertips to it, he gets the full palm right in the way. That was a very, very solid save. What can Guest produce from the flag? Swung towards the back post, double punch away by Lopez. And so Guest will set his sights towards the penalty box once more. It's a flatter delivery and a less enterprising result in truth. Brody Boyce to Wellsmore, and now McGilp. Oakleigh have just got the bit between their teeth at the moment. They've got their tails up. Perhaps South Melbourne hoping that they can strike on the counter as Oakleigh look to put this game potentially beyond doubt. In any case, they're certainly moving more fluidly in attack now, are the Cannons. As McGilp, that's a great turn from Valentini, who juggles it to himself and produced a good save from Lopez, but it was after the illegal use, well, it's all illegal use if you're using a hand, but the use of a hand, which leads to this free kick, but Javi Lopez wasn't to know, and he produced another very good stop.
Oh, you said the word illegal and the police siren started going off in the background. I'm like, I think it's only a misdemeanor.
Well, I am wearing fingerless gloves and a pretty big sort of snood, which is covering my face. So, you know, I do look the part.
South Melbourne going to the bench again.
Double substitution for South Melbourne. Coming off, number 21, Ross Archibald.
Garcia has come on.
Evans, being replaced by number 8, Mario Garcia, and number 27, Jack Payne Andrews.
Well, if you didn't hear it over the PA system, Mario Garcia and Jack Painter Andrews have come on. There's Valentini. Low ball cut out by Marshall, who I have to say has been really good today in spite of the scoreline. And Bernardo was wrestled to the deck, quickly taken free kick. Looks like Brennan's playing wide. Bernardo still through the middle as the number 9 in the absence of Harry Sawyer, whose presence has been sorely missed. Can they find the back of the net without their talismanic target man? Scored 4 without him last week against Altona, but Oakleigh Cannons are an entirely different kettle of fish. Especially with Jacob Tratt and Jordan Hall coming in for very confident debuts so far. Mikola. Launched long. Peter Andrews was waiting for it to drop. It never came. Halfpenny. Barcia. Peter Andrews took a heavy touch behind for an Oakleigh goal kick. Can the South Melbourne changes inject some vigour and enthusiasm and attacking firepower into this team? Assume that Peter Andrews will provide a lot more attacking thrust from right fullback. Player who can certainly be deployed in the front 3 as well as a wing back. The rain mists down at Lakeside. Seems to be a storm brewing, and South Melbourne have been on the wrong end of it tonight. A storm brewing in the title race as well, Lockie. So as it stands, South Melbourne have lost ground. Long throw incoming. It's allowed to bounce and then turn towards goal and blocked. And Oakleigh forced to concede another corner. Andy Brennan wants it. Max Mikola jogging over as well. Brennan's going to offer the short option as Halfpenny joins the players in the box. Mikola, short corner for Brennan. Can they rotate it out to Painter Andrews? Brennan. Well, they've played a lot of short corners today, South Melbourne, which I do sometimes, but I'm not accustomed to seeing it this often, Lockie.
Yeah, maybe an acknowledgement of Oakleigh's own defensive set-piece prowess. They have to try something different.
Near post delivery is a good one, and it's turned in the wrong direction by Jake Marshall. A goal line clearance at the wrong end. Extraordinary. The goal at his mercy, and it looked easier to score.
I'm not sure I'd necessarily go as far as to say that it looked easier to score, but, well, Hall is able to launch that one away at full stretch. So maybe on replay, I think your critique is fair, but that's dropped out nicely here for Andy Brennan, who went for the near post that Nick Feely just left a fraction open. Very nearly paid dividends. It speaks to my point earlier, Josh, about how in this second half, the players who have done the best defensive work in many cases have been the players who are attacking the very goal that's being defended.
And the best assister tonight has gone to Javi Lopez.
Yeah, it has been that sort of week in weekend in NPL Victoria. Strange things have happened.
That was a very odd moment from Marshall. I think it just caught his toe. He was at full stretch, in fairness, but it's almost like in tennis when you see a player, just frame a shot and it just flies off at an improbable angle. Oh, he's absolutely kicking himself after that. He's had such a good game. Oh, long-range attempt. Oh, my goodness! Mario Barcia has scored from nigh on the halfway line. The moment of inspiration that South were crying out for. Nick Feely caught off his line. And this crazy weekend in NPL Victoria delivers yet again.
Well, on a weekend for the spectacular in Victorian football, Mario Barcia leaves his run late, but joins the party in emphatic fashion.
Goal for South Melbourne FC.
That is simply sensational from the Argentine against his own old club, no less. Launching it goalward on the half volley, and the minute you saw Nick Feely retreat with a bit of hesitancy, you knew there was trouble brewing, and it was just a matter of whether it was going to dip in the right time. And South Melbourne have been crying out for a saviour for nigh on 60 minutes in this contest, and Mario Barcia is the man who does it, coming off the bench and unloading an absolute bomb in the pouring rain.
Astonishing.
And all of a sudden, Pierce Clark, who looked to have had goal of the week wrapped up at George Andrews last night, is now under threat.
Simply sensational from Mario Barcia. The audacity of even trying that from that sort of range. Terry Antonis, eat your heart out. The crowd baying and booing and jeering as Yanni Zizis points for an Oakleigh free kick.
And would you believe, Josh, by my maths, at least in the league, Mario Barcia's first goal in South Melbourne Blue in season 2024 of NPL Victoria is that. That's his debut goal. That is my welcome to South Melbourne moment. That's what I can do. It comes against the team who know all too well what Mario Barcia can do. He was a...
Go on.
As the free kick comes in, that's easy pickings. It has not been a good weekend, or a good Sunday, I should say, to be a goalkeeper. It was a great Saturday to be a goalkeeper out of George Andrews. And now South Melbourne could flip this game on its head as Bernarda is making a great one. Noel Bernarda!
Oh.
And Feely responds with a solid save. It's not over, though. Harding! He fancied his chances from distance. In this game, well, I don't know what happened to the opening 70 minutes that were a little bit ho-hum. They seem a distant memory right now. It's all happening at Lakeside Stadium with important points on the line. Yankovic read that one like a book, though. Well,
dearie me. Mario Barcia has lit up this contest.
Goals change games. Spectacular goals do something even more sensational. That one's over the head of Barcia, but Harding was at full pelt to keep it alive. Rather, it was Painter Andrews. And here is Barcia, the goal scorer. Mikola heard the shout of Brennan over his shoulder. And it never made it to him, but South Melbourne will take it because Boyce had to fly in to knock it out for a corner. And this South Melbourne crowd have got the belief back. That was a really great save from Feely a few minutes earlier as well.
The trailing arm, Lockie, unbelievable.
The belief is back at Lakeside. Can they take the lead of this game from Oakleigh? They're going to make another substitution here. More fresh legs coming on. Cooper Halfpenny leaving the field of play. And I think that's Lucas Inglese, I fancy, who has got form for scoring in big games. His only NPL Victoria goal came against Melbourne Knights as Brennan launches it in the Inglese direction, and Nick Feely will be a very grateful man, I dare say, to gobble that one up.
Substitution for
Mario Barcia scored his first goal for South Melbourne in the most incredible fashion a few moments ago. That would have been a nice way to make your introduction for Lucas Inglese off the bench. As you say, already has one important goal to his name this year. It's just incredible, that Barcia strike from all of, 45, 50 metres?
It was ridiculous.
I need to get the protractor out. It was on quite a narrow angle as well. He was halfway between the centre spot and the touchline. Lashed it from the back of the centre circle. Incredible.
I mean, it's It's been a long time since we've seen long bombs like that at Lakeside, not since the Bob Skilton days. Mario Barcia, the Bloods culture, unloading from outside 50.
Uncorking the genie. Now Max Mikula half a chance there, but Oakleigh play their way through. Kubalay. This is Joe Guests. Inviting ball for Pierce Waring. Wow, he holds his head in his hands. That was a chance. A shallow angle for the header. But he was only millimetres away. This game has come to life big style.
Yeah, strap yourselves in for the final 10 minutes. This one could go anywhere at this point. Bernarda couldn't pick out a teammate. And Oakleigh were looking more likely to score a second for large portions of that phase of play minutes before Barcia's extraordinary equaliser. Here's Guest looking to conjure up some magic of his own, but watching it all the way was Javi Lopez.
It's funny when you see a player do something so audacious. It sometimes gives the other players license to try things. Sure, I can do that too.
If there was one other player who you'd be backing in to replicate that sort of a feat, Joe Guest would be a short-priced favourite. Paul has had a solid debut in Oakleigh colours. He's fed his new defensive compatriot Ian Brodie Boyce, who's continued his run apace, and the spillage falls for Kingsley Sinclair. And now it's Pierce Waring, covered off nicely by Jake Marshall. Another Oakleigh corner in the offing. We're probably in the... Are we getting near the 30 mark for set pieces today, Josh?
It certainly feels like it.
Oh.
So many opportunities off dead balls.
Both penalty boxes have had an absolute barrage, and yet it's been a goal from outside the box for the opener and a goal from just inside halfway for the equaliser. As the set piece comes in, it takes a bounce, and will it sit for McGilp? It's blocked en route by the South Melbourne defence. Still alive, though, for the Cannons. Waring, twisting and turning, but his shot was lacking conviction and accuracy. Out of play for a South Melbourne goal kick.
Well, he had teammates in support there, but Pierce Waring certainly entitled to shoot. Just couldn't contort his body in time as Oakleigh make a change. And it's Manib who's come on. Valentini sacrificed. And you think as the game has opened up here, the pace of Manib might be Oakleigh's ticket to retaking the lead.
Well, he hasn't scored an NPL Victoria goal since round 6, Manib, and that was his first for the Oakleigh Cannons, the former Bentley Greens man. But if you're a South Melbourne defender, you're not wanting to see that man make his way onto the field, because he might not be a regular goal scorer at this level just yet, but he's one of the fastest players in this competition, and his pace is exactly what Chris Taylor will be hoping to take advantage of as this game really starts to open up, and Adis could have an instant impact as he does use that lightning pace. Just hesitates for a moment though. Finds support in the form of McGilp. A great line-breaking ball. Guest got a bit too cute, and that drops perfectly for Jordan Lampard. That is a rare bit of unselfish play from Joe Guest. Kingsley Sinclair can't chase that one down, and Jankovic concedes the corner. I'm amazed that Joe Guest didn't pop a shot off in the direction of Harvey Lopez's goal, Josh.
Yeah, he's got certainly not shy to shoot the best of times, but fancied his teammate in a better spot. That's uncharacteristic. Usually he has the right kind of selfishness where he backs himself in on the edge of the area. Good delivery from Guests. Lopez opts to punch. Mikula watches it all the way onto the boot. Nick Feely was off his line again.
Yeah, it was running through my mind as well. I'm glad I'm not just a madman.
Impressive if he even made the distance from there, let alone scored. But all things are possible in NPL Victoria, as we've just seen. Adis. Oakleigh corner. This one deadlocked thanks to Mario Barcia's moment of magic. It's going to be Joe Guest. Looks for the penalty spot. Jacob Tratt couldn't connect. Well defended by South Melbourne. Boyce. Emlyn Wellsmore sidesteps the challenge of Rob Harding, making his South Melbourne debut. McGilp feeds it down the line. Another chance for Guest to find a teammate in the middle. Oh, there's a big shout for handball against Lucas Inglesi there. The attack continues for Oakleigh. It's off Barcia. Corner. Well, South Melbourne, they were filled with such aggression and enthusiasm after that Barcia goal, but Oakleigh have rather taken the sting out with protracted presence in South Melbourne's half. Now they have to lock down defensively and protect the draw at the moment. It's flicked away by Yankovic. Kubalay through a sea of legs! And Oakleigh are back in front. Ollie Kubalay does it against South Melbourne again.
Ollie Kubalay, take a bow. Well, Mario Barcia's goal is still comfortably strike of the day. But that is not a bad second place finisher on the podium from Ollie Kubalay, who only knows one thing when it comes to finding the net, and that is scoring what could be the winner against South Melbourne. His last NPL Victoria goal was at McIver Reserve to seal the result in a 2-0 win against South Melbourne last season. And it's taken a while, nearly a year, but he's back on the score sheet against the same opponent from a similar distance for a goal that could seal a similarly delicious and important 3 points.
Oh, what a strike from Ollie Kubalay. That's a pretty similar goal, you know, to the one he scored at the home of Yarraville Glory last year. South's home away from home.
Very similar. Very, very similar. I can say that because we were there for both of them, Josh.
That's right.
I was there.
Ollie Kubalay's good luck charm, I think. It comes to scoring against South.
That has rather taken the wind out of the sails of South Melbourne. And they could put the game to bed here, Oakleigh. Sinclair. His searching ball stopped in its tracks by Jake Marshall. Well, Mario Barcia is going to be blowing up something filthy if his goal is a mere consolatory prize in this top 4 clash. But it is looking that way with 2 minutes plus stoppage that remain.
Just your standard consolation goal, the 50-metre half volley.
Yeah.
Well, it seems a little early for time wasting. And so Joe Guest orders Pierce Waring away. No one attacking the near post there for Oakleigh. Boyce sends it high into the night sky. Way by Marshall. Oh, the decision goes against Painter Andrews. Oakleigh ball. Esteban Quintas gesticulating furiously in the South Melbourne technical area. Understand his anxiety as they trail again. Bit of wrestling going on the far side. Marshall came in to cut out the nonsense. Barcia. McGilp contesting. Guest. Went to ground, no whistle. Away comes Painter Andrews. And Noel Bernarda has Jordan Lampard in support, who hangs it to the back post with no one arriving in time. Andy Brennan was on the scene, but not close enough. And then Max Mikola. That's a nasty tackle. He adds another yellow card to his growing collection. Well, that's his 5th of the year. He's going to miss next week. I think he got 11 last season, Max Mikola. Yeah, was it 12? It's up there.
It was too... Whatever the final number was, it was too many.
Too many.
Too many. He's going to miss the early kickoff at Green Gully next week. The
Maybe.
1 p.m. time slot. Which will be a tough game, actually, for South Melbourne. They have a stupendous record against Gully over the years. I don't think they've lost it at Green Gully Reserve in eons. But in saying that, Gully are now, I think, is it 5 or 6 games undefeated under their new head coach, Ramon Falzon.
If they've struggled to hold on to leads at times this year.
But a lot of those games for Gully this season that would otherwise have been frustrating defeats have turned into draws, and stickability and refusal to say die does present potentially a wrinkle for South as they make that early trip next Saturday to Keilor Downs.
The Gully aside still with a faint hope of finals.
Doesn't get much easier for Oakleigh. They'll be travelling to Avondale. Another massive clash. They could almost play Kingmaker and Kingbreaker in the next couple of weeks, Oakleigh.
It's going to be a throw-in. Ball's just trickled out on Manibatis. They do tend to get up for the big games, Oakleigh, though. And the gauntlet is thrown down in this sort of fashion. Injury crisis. Against the top of the table side. Oh, Manibatis with a burst of speed. It takes a double deflection off the flying winger. Pierce Waring is struggling after that Mikola challenge a few moments ago. Yankovic for Lampard. And Lampard turned it over straight to Kubalay. Boyce. Sinclair. Barcia. Marshall puts one into space for Glaze, but it's skewed off the right boot and out for a throw. We're into stoppage time here with 5 minutes having been added. Time running out for South Melbourne. As that Mario Barcia wonder goal looks to be in vain. And Pierce Waring is going to go off after that injury knock. Eat up a few of those extra seconds that Oakleigh have to see this win out. It's Asad Kasumovic who's going to get the late cameo appearance. Is there a chance on for South? Bernarda, Lampard. Jordan Lampard's cross is a dangerous one. And it's away by Jordan Hall. And then a yellow card shown to Mario Barcia there. And that might be that for South Melbourne. That looked like the chance.
Yeah, it did. You were just begging for, you know, similarly to Oakleigh's corner, where Ollie Kubalay was ready and poised to unload from the edge of the box. South Melbourne were just crying out for a blue shirt at the top of the D, but unfortunately the rebound ball just sort of split the middle. Found neither of them. I think if you include the yellow card shown to Chris Taylor. We've had 8 yellows in this game, so it has been either side of a world-class goal. Well, a world-class goal and a very good one as well from Ollie Oakleigh. It's been pretty attritional stuff.
Well, surely the last attack here for South Melbourne. Deep into stoppage time. Is there more drama awaiting in this one, or will Oakleigh stride forward and polish off the game? Joe Guest, too heavy for Minibatis to have a chance. Harvey Lopez knocks it long. Tratz, flicked on by Kasumovic. Now Lopez will give it to Marshall. And it's Route 1 football. Last chance saloon for Hellas. Barcia. Oh, they've got so many players in the box here. If they can get a ball in. No such luck.
They're going to get a long throw, though.
Oh, Mikula's not going to take it. They don't have time for him to get across the pitch.
Surely if they get a set piece, they're sending Harvey Lopez forward.
It's a weekend for it. Yankovic. His crossfield ball cut out. Hayes can't keep it alive. Painter Andrews can get some distance on these as well. Everybody forward. Harvey Lopez is going to wait on the halfway line.
Boo.
Come on, Harvey. Join in the fun. Painter Andrews. Flicked on at the near post. Sinclair away. Now Lopez is off his line. Play sweeper keeper here. And find Lampard. High into the night sky. And then a scrap of players in the middle. A hopeful shout for handball. And Asad Kasumovic strides away into space. And Barcia couldn't keep it in. Oh, that might be that, Lockie.
You'd have to imagine. I'm disappointed that Harvey Lopez didn't take inspiration from Pierce Clark and march his way up there.
I guess you've got to have someone on the halfway line to field the ball when it's cleared. And Kingsley Sinclair is going to take his time jogging off here. Classic Oakleigh, name 4 substitutes, make 2 of them in stoppage time.
They are the master of the time-chewing substitute, are the Oakleigh Cannons. Their favourite time to make subs is when there's seconds to be eaten up.
Still we go on here. There's been stoppages in stoppage time. And this one is at the mercy of Yanni Zizis. All eyes on the referee here. Yankovic with the long bomb. Jacob Tratt underneath it. Barcia attacks the loose ball with the header. And then thumped away by Wellsmore. And Oakleigh have won at Lakeside
Final score,
to bust the title race wide open. Ollie Oakleigh with the decisive goal. And after 3 defeats in 4 games coming into this fixture, few would have fancied the Oakleigh Cannons, but they get it done on the big stage, Lockie.
What a result. What a result for the Cannons. They've looked... I mean, you can't help but think back to this time a week ago, Josh, or this time a week and 45 minutes ago. They were sitting there in the dressing rooms with their head in their hands after dishing up a first-half disaster class against Green Gully. They were down by a number of goals. They were down even more players. They'd used all their outfield substitutes by the half-time interval. So hit they were by injuries in that game. At that point, they would have looked a million miles away from a result like this, but their transfer targets came in the door, Tratt and Hall, and they provided a defensive tonic. They got a little bit of luck as well through the opening goal, which was handed to them by a mistake from Harvey Lopez, and that only happens once every so often. That's been the theme of the weekend. It was the theme of this game as well, Josh, because Mario Barcia, of course, answered back with a goal of his own that only comes about every so often. And it really seemed there that from that point, South Melbourne had the game in their control. It was there for the taking. But Oakleigh, they just have this knack at this point of the season when the chips are down, with coming up with a display that is rich in character and quality. And again, they were able to find a top-class goal through Ollie Kublé to split the sides at the end. They're well and truly restored in their confidence, and the title race has been blasted wide open once more as they travel to face Avondale next week, Oakleigh.
Well, South Melbourne missed a golden chance to go 7 points clear at the top of the table. The gap is only 4 to Avondale. Oakleigh jump Heidelberg into third place with that win. And Mario Barcia's 50-metre worldie is in vain. Thanks for joining us for a dramatic second half here at Lakeside. Josh Parrish and Lockie Flanagan, it's been our pleasure to bring you the live coverage here on the NPL Victoria live stream. The final score, South Melbourne 1, Oakleigh Cannons 2.